Good morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever it happens to be. This is Damondred with Mayhem from Brave, here to talk about my personal favorite way to rat, the Yolanos. It is a blaster fit Kronos. We'll pull up Python just to go over it rather quickly. The high slots are pretty straightforward. 4 blaster cannons, the Bastion Module, an EMP Smartbomb that is fit for part of the ratting approach, and then a heavy Neutralizer. If you happen to be tackled by someone, maybe you can nuke them off before they kill you, maybe not, but you've got the free high slot, so you might as well use it. The mids are a lot more flexible, but I use 1 cap battery, 1 cap booster, a micro jump drive, and the only mandatory piece to this fit, the tracking computer with an optimal range script. The lows, 3 damage, 2 mag field stabilizers, 1 tracking enhancer, 2 resist modules. I use the multi-spec and a thermal armor hardener, damage control, probably ought to fit that on everything, and then a large armor repairer. You'll notice I do have some extra little bit of bling to these. I mean, it's a 2 billion hull. You might as well toss a little bit fancy on there, and the extra couple 100 million will go a long way toward improving your clear speed. Finally, the rigs. We have 1 DPS rig from the Aerator and 1 from the EM Armor Reinforcer. That's what lets us get away with not having any EM on the fit itself. Drones, 25 Acolytes. You won't use them all unless you blow up your own drones, but you've got the extra bay space, so you might as well fit it in there. The overall total winds up with, in Bastion, about 2700 DPS. So we'll take her out for a quick spin. The disadvantage to this fit is that you only really have 2 sites that are viable. They are the classic Rock Haven that you all know and love, and the Forsaken Rally Points that you also all probably know and love. Let's see if this is a rock. Nope, try again. If you aren't familiar with this, you can warp to a site, but stop. You'll get a pop-up that lets you know it's a rock haven. So since we've got this one set, we'll warp. You want to land at 0, and you may notice I'm doing this on the test server. That's mostly just so that I can pay attention to walking through the process and not have to worry about anybody disrupting the overall session. So as you warp in, you want to make sure that your tracking computer with an optimal script is running. You want to get your hardener running. Make sure the green spinnies are spinning, because otherwise you might forget as you go through the site. When you land, the first thing that I do is get even closer. You don't need to, but it will help keep everything in range. You'll notice, as we saw from Pytha, your optimal range with Bastion running is about 10 kilometers. Your fall off goes out to about 22. So you want to be up close and personal as you go through these sites. We'll get those off of here. And as you're waiting for the rats to spawn, it's a good opportunity to close in, get just a little bit closer so that you're all set, ready to go. This is the part that takes the longest. So, as the rats spawn, lock everything, set the Bastion, and get ready to start clicking F1. In general, I prefer to go furthest to closest, and the reason being, as you'll see, your damage falls off pretty rapidly once they clear about 20 kilometers. It will not take you long to kill everything. So, as you're going through, it's really just a question of taking your focus fire and going through from bottom to top, sorted by distance. The clear time on this should take you about 15 minutes to do a haven, maybe a little bit less. In terms of reps, you are not cap stable with your rep on, so you're going to want to wait and pulse it as you start getting low. I like to wait till about 60% damage. Remember, your cycle applies at the end, so you don't want to wait till the very end to get that cycle started, but you've got a lot of leeway because, as you can see, each completed cycle is going to take you pretty much back to full. So that's our first wave down. Look up the next wave. For this wave, we're going to drop drones. The drones are going to be used almost exclusively to apply to these frigates. So, as you're going through and doing these, I will typically kill one battleship first, because that gives you the opportunity to kill it very quickly because of the lock time. And then, as you see, if you connect, you one-shot the frigs. Once they get orbiting, you may have difficulty connecting with them with the main guns. So that's what the drones are for. Any of these that have actually gotten into orbit and have got their transversal up, you're going to want to take a shot with them first, see if they're bouncing off the stuff. But once they're moving, apply the drones and you're good to go. The Smartbomb is for the non-elite frigates. So any of these that say Elder Corpi, their optimal range is outside of Smartbomb range. But the regular frigates, which do spawn inside these sites, those will get in much closer and will let you just Smartbomb to death. If you can do that, it's a lot faster. Take a quick shot, and we got lucky on that one. Next wave spawns. As you can see, it takes longer to lock everything up than it does to clear the wave. Let's not be bad and lose a drone on film. And we're going to be bad and lose a drone on film. That's alright. So, once again, kill one battleship, take a pot shot, see if you can get them before they pull range. The downside to this fit, as you'll notice, is that it is not AFK friendly. You're going to be very active. You clear everything so quickly, taking each of these shots, that you wind up being very active, locking and adjusting targets as you go through the whole process. We'll reload. Man, they like the drones today. But as you can see, the main focus on this is just applying DPS as quickly as possible. The frigates are by far the slowest and most annoying part of going through this process, but even those go down pretty quickly. You can set the drones on them while you kill the battleships, or you can take a quick shot with the cannons. We haven't gotten lucky yet with any of these spawns that let us apply the smart bombs. When you get those, do a happy little dance, because that will take your clear time and drop it rather quickly. Next wave, lock them all up, repeat the same process as before. As you can see, these waves really don't test your tank. You've got so much extra protection from these that you've got a lot of leeway. If you look away for a moment, take a second to adjust what you're shooting, lock things up, get distracted for a moment. Obviously, in practice, you want to be focused on local, keep an eye on intel. While the Bastion cycle is running, you are stuck in place. So you want to keep an eye out if somebody comes in nearby, watch that, and red cycle your Bastion well in advance of when you need to. One last one, and then we get to I believe this should be the Elite Cruiser wave, which is where you want to pay attention and prioritize based on type, not just distance. So, in a haven, this is the wave that neutralizes. That means they have to die first. Doesn't take you very long to kill them. We got a small spawn on this one, so I wager we'll be done with it in about 30 seconds. If your capacitor gets low, that's what the boosters are for. You do not need them during a normal sight, but if you get distracted, if you aren't paying attention, if you've chained a lot of these, or if you're lazy with your reps, you may wind up needing to apply the extra little bit of boost, but it doesn't take very much, and it's really there as an uh-oh button that gives you a bit of backup safety to go through. The micro jump drive is the same thing. It's there as an uh-oh button. If somebody comes in, lands next to you, but doesn't have you fully pinned, you can use the jump drive to try to pull range and get a little distance from them, force them to burn in, presuming you can't tackle them. This is the final wave, and I am just taking a moment. Your number one risk by far is if you get a dread spawn. If you do, you want to immediately red cycle the Bastion and get the hell out of Dodge. The dread, it won't alpha you, but it will kill you. You'll notice that on this final wave, it does test the tank just a little bit. You will wind up having to run the reps just for a little bit of extra time while you clear the initial spawns, but you'll notice I alpha the battle cruisers down, so it's not a real threat to you as long as you are paying any sense of attention and have those reps running. You get about 6 minutes with everything running, so it's plenty of time to take everything down. And we've got this last wave under control, so we'll red cycle the repairer, and from here it's pretty cut and dry. Point, click, dead. That's pretty much all there is to it on the Haven. We'll finish out the site. The only real optimization at this point is you want to make sure you kill anything that is getting outside of about that 15 kilometer range. At 20, your damage actually starts to fall off noticeably. You're good for anything inside of that, but once they start to pull range beyond that distance, you want to make sure you focus them down. You'll also notice I'm using my drones to take things down, the smaller spawns. In general, there's enough battleships in this last wave that your drones might actually kill the cruisers and battle cruisers before you get to them, or they make it a little easier to make sure it's one round and they're toast. I'll go ahead and top off, not because I'm particularly worried about it, but because we're about to clear out of this site and move on to our next one. When you get down to these last ones, that's when you want to start pulling things up. Get ready to focus on your next site. As I said, ideally you want to chain havens, but the nice thing about the Marauders compared to dread ratting or carriers is that you can actually do Forsaken rally points very effectively. you don't lose a whole lot. Let's not miss this. Oh, that is a piece. When you finish the site, make sure you red cycle, because that's extra time, that's extra ticks. Site's done, move on to the next one. All told, we've been at it 15 minutes from the start. Took us about 12 to clear the site. Reload while you're on the way. Go ahead and top up. If your cap got low, go ahead and hit it with the boosters. But you're going to clear these sites out very quickly. Forsaken rallies, same basic idea. Land at 0, siege, lock everything up starting with the furthest away. And bring the noise. One thing to remember, unlike in Catch or in Impasse, you want to take down the battleships first. The cruisers are spawn triggers. You'll also notice I'm focusing the Archbishop even though it's the closest. That's because these are neutralizing. Take them out. You've got the extra cap boosters. You've got a battery, so you're very resistant to the cap warfare. But that's no reason to be sloppy about it. You've got the DPS. Kill the first thing that's most dangerous first. Harbingers and Archbishops should be your first targets. After that, furthest target first. Work your way in. You'll notice this priest thinks he's going to get away. He's outside our main optimal range, but even out to 21, we'll be alright in terms of damage. It falls off, it won't be quite as fast, but we'll be able to take him down. So we'll drop him. These guys are starting to pull range. You'll notice I am more concerned with killing things at range than I am with minimizing the incoming DPS. Our tank is more than capable of taking it. So we're going to take these guys out before they get away from us. And we're going to pull in our drones because we got lucky on these frigate spawns. And we'll get to show off why we've got a faction Smartbomb. Once again, Harbingers go down first. Get them out of there, because they do actually apply quite a bit of cap pressure. You'll notice that I am a little bit lower than I might like, and that's because we got a triple spawn of Archbishops and Harbingers. But even with that, red cycle the reps because we're not taking real damage. And those frigates are back outside of range. So the drones go back out to finish them off. Now, these two priests at 30 are now outside of my realistic range. So we're going to have to bring the drones to take them out. That's going to be a little bit annoying. That's going to slow us down some. Unfortunately, that is the risk you run with the Forsaken sites, is that you have a chance to get those types of triple neuting battleship spawns, and when you do get those, you're going to need to focus them down. You'll notice that I do have Null. That's for precisely this circumstance. If you aren't able to drop things before they pull range, say in a spawn like this where you have a lot of popes and you have to focus down the battleships first, they will get outside your optimal with Void. Take a couple of pot shots with the extra range, you'll clear them out no problem. Reload back to Void. Let's see if we can clear these frigates. Yeah, he's moving fast enough that we aren't getting full application, but it's still not too bad. It'll be enough to take him out. And he's dumb enough to get further away, so we get rid of him. One last couple of shots for this guy. And that spawns the next wave. Lock them all up. And light them up. You'll notice that the drones don't actually do enough damage to take out the elite frigates. That's fine. They're really just there to clear some small stuff out. And as you'll see, they're not going to do you any good in terms of clearing the rest of the site. So might as well put them on it. It makes you feel better. Feels like you're doing something to them. I'm being a little aggressive with the armor. You don't need to be this aggressive, but as long as you're red cycling the repairer each time, it's not really going to hurt you. Two rounds takes out these. Brings up the next spawn. If you aren't familiar with it, the way that these Forsaken rallies work is that your first two sets of cruisers will spawn this sort of trigger series. After that, the last kill within that sequence will trigger the next set. These guys want to get far away. We're going to teach them that's a bad idea. Kill this last battleship. So within those sequences, the last kill within the sequence will cause the next set to spawn. So to manage your overall aggro, you actually do want to keep these first two sets of cruisers alive for as long as you can. Reason being, that's going to keep you from getting really difficult spawns. Go ahead and ignore this bounties. Because we're on the test server, the bounty risk is 30%. Obviously you wouldn't be doing that for a real system. You'd be someplace with a little bit higher. The nice thing about the Marauders is that because you're only stuck for 30 seconds, you can afford to be a little more, I'll call it feisty, with where you're doing your ratting. Clear out all the small spawns, focus down the battleship because he's starting to pull range. And that's pretty much all there is to it. As you can see, I'm able to clear sites in, it'll be under 10 minutes to clear the Forsaken, closer to 15 to clear a Haven. The Havens are preferable because nothing in there is going to be able to pull range on you, and the neut pressure is a lot lower. However, not every system has the 5 to 6 Havens that you can actually reliably clear during the respawn time. I say 5 to 6. You cannot do a gas Haven in this. The spawns are too far out. So you are limited to rock and Forsaken rallies just because of the spawn mechanics. So you can bounce back and forth between Havens and Forsaken rallies. That gives you a lot of options within Aquarius. Swap back over to Null, apply a little bit of damage, take these two idiots out. There's going to be a couple more spawns after this, and then we'll be done with the site. So we're ready for this last set of chains. Switch back to Void. We'll have them locked up by the time we're reloaded. And bring the Thunder. You can do this with Tech 1 ammo if you want to save time, or I guess save just a little bit of money. The damage increase from going to Tech 2 is significant, and because you are blaster fit, get up in their face, make them dead, get the money that way, it'll pay for itself rather quickly. You do go through quite a bit of ammo with this fit. You are firing 4 rounds every second, so plan accordingly. You'll notice I bring quite a bit of ammo, more cap boosters than I need. I guess repair paste if I feel like overheating. I don't see it as being worth it for ratting, but it's handy if you happen to get landed on. As I mentioned, you'll notice we're not using the micro jump drive. Totally unnecessary for ratting. It's there as an escape button if you need it. If you wanted to fit an additional tracking computer, you could. That's the sight. We're ready to move on to the next one. Pull it up during the cycle, and you can chain these and clear out sites very quickly. That took us 10 minutes to clear the site in its entirety. All told, my experience has been that in a roughly 100% system, you can get 40 million in each tick. That includes your ESS payout. So if you want carrier level ticks in a subcap, this is an easy way to do it. It lets you do Forsaken rallies, which gives you access to things that the capitals don't have, and lets you spread out just a little bit more. I wish you the best of luck. Remember, everyone wants to kill you, so watch intel, watch local, and don't be stupid, but be a little brave. Get in, get up close, and YOLO the Kronos. Fly safe.